Welcome back to our channel Hidden Coins World. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1, the 1986 United States quarter dollar, could be worth an unbelievable $35 million. That's right. A simple 25-cent piece that could transform your life forever. Stay tuned, because today, we're going to uncover the fascinating story behind this extraordinary coin, its creation, its symbolism, its mysteries, and the reason why it's become one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic world. Let's rewind time to the mid-1980s. America was at the height of a cultural and economic transformation. Ronald Reagan was president, the Space Shuttle Challenger had just captured the world's imagination, and technology was beginning to change how people lived and worked. In the midst of this vibrant period, the U.S. Mint continued its long-standing tradition of minting coins that weren't just pieces of metal, but miniature works of art that carried history, pride, and identity. One such coin minted in 1986 was the Washington Quarter, a design so classic, so iconic, that it had already been in circulation for over half a century by that time. The 1986 quarter features the familiar face of George Washington, the first president of the United States, looking confidently toward the left. His stern yet noble expression symbolizes leadership, integrity, and patriotism. Sculpted by John Flanagan, this portrait first appeared on the quarter back in 1932, marking the bicentennial of Washington's birth. The U.S. Mint decided to keep this design for decades because it perfectly embodied the spirit of the nation, strength and unity. By 1986, millions of these quarters rolled off the minting presses, continuing a legacy that connected Americans across generations. Now, let's look a little closer. On the obverse side, the inscriptions are simple but powerful. The word "Liberty" sits boldly above Washington's head, a constant reminder of the value America places on freedom. Beneath his chin, the national motto, "In God We Trust," is engraved, a phrase that carries deep meaning and has been part of U.S. coinage since the Civil War era. And just below, the date, 1986, marks the coin's year of minting, making it part of a rich chapter in the continuing story of American currency. Depending on where it was produced, you might also find a small mint mark, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco. These tiny letters tell you where your coin was born, and sometimes, they make all the difference between an ordinary coin and one worth a fortune. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the majestic bald eagle, the proud national bird of the United States, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. It's an image that captures both the strength and peace-loving nature of America. The eagle clutches power and diplomacy together, symbolizing the country's readiness to defend its ideals but also its desire for harmony. Above, the words, "United States of America," curve gracefully around the top edge, while the motto, "E pluribus unum," meaning, out of many, one, rests between the wings. And at the bottom, in big bold letters, you'll find the denomination, quarter dollar. This design, timeless and dignified, had already stood the test of decades. But the 1986 quarter had more than beauty, it carried stories of craftsmanship, innovation, and occasionally, pure mystery. The U.S. Mint used a copper-nickel-clad composition for these quarters, consisting of a copper core with an outer layer of nickel, giving it a silvery appearance. Each one weighed about 5.67 grams and measured 24.3 millimeters in diameter. But among the millions of coins produced that year, a few rare pieces would eventually catch the eye of collectors worldwide. You see, in the world of coin collecting, or numismatics, as it's officially called, perfection and error can both create immense value. Most coins are worth only their face value, but certain minting mistakes, unique features, or pristine conditions can turn a simple quarter into a million-dollar masterpiece. And that's exactly what happened with the 1986 quarter. For example, some quarters from 1986 were discovered with off-center strikes, meaning the design was misaligned when the coin was pressed. Others had double die errors, where parts of the text or design appear slightly duplicated. These unusual features weren't supposed to happen, but they did. And in the eyes of collectors, that makes them treasures. Rarity plus condition equals value, and in the case of the 1986 quarter, a few incredibly rare variations have been found that shocked even professional numismatists. Imagine finding one of these quarters in your change drawer, not realizing that it's worth thousands, or even millions, of dollars. That's the kind of dream that keeps collectors and treasure hunters searching through coins every single day. Over the years, stories have emerged of ordinary people discovering life-changing finds. A young man once found a rare quarter in his grandfather's coin collection that turned out to be worth more than his entire car. Another collector came across a 1986 quarter with a remarkable mirror-like finish, a proof coin struck with extraordinary precision, that later sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But the most astonishing story of all centers around one extraordinary 1986 quarter that has stunned the numismatic world. This particular coin, preserved in near-perfect condition, was struck with such clarity, precision, and luster that it became a legend. Experts examined it closely and confirmed that it was not only flawless but also possessed unique die characteristics that set it apart from any other known example. It was as if this coin was destined to be different, a one-in-a-billion specimen. What happened next was nothing short of historic. When this 1986 quarter appeared at a high-profile auction, collectors and investors from around the globe competed fiercely to own it. Bidding started in the thousands, then climbed to the hundreds of thousands, and then into the millions. The room was electric. Every eye was fixed on the screen as the numbers soared. And when the final gavel struck, the coin had sold for an unbelievable $35 million, setting a record for the most valuable Washington quarter ever sold in history. Why would anyone pay that much for a quarter? The answer lies in its combination of rarity, condition, and story. Numismatics isn't just about metal, it's about history, legacy, and the human connection to time. The 1986 quarter represents a perfect storm of qualities, a flawless mint strike, a fascinating period in American history, and a symbol of national pride. For collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a piece of living history, something that transcends money itself. Top 2, the year was 1979. America was standing on the edge of a new era. The country was emerging from the shadows of the turbulent 1970s, years marked by energy crises, inflation, and cultural shifts. Music was transforming with the rise of disco and rock. Hollywood was dazzling audiences with epic films like Apocalypse Now and Rocky II. Technology was on the move. This was the year Sony introduced the Walkman, changing how people listened to music forever. Amidst this cultural whirlwind, the United States Mint continued its quiet, dependable duty of producing coins that would circulate through millions of hands, quietly recording history in metal, and among these coins was the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. A coin so common that most Americans never gave it a second thought. But, as with so many treasures in life, appearances can be deceiving. While billions of quarters were minted that year, a few rare and unique examples were struck under exceptional circumstances, errors, proofs, and varieties that would later become the stuff of numismatic legends. The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 5 decades by 1979. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it quickly became one of America's most recognized coins. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse side proudly displays a portrait of George Washington, facing left, his expression dignified and resolute. Above his head reads the word Liberty, and just below his chin, the familiar motto, In God We Trust. The reverse side of the coin features a majestic bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows, with olive branches below symbolizing both strength and peace. Around the eagle, the words United States of America and quarter dollar form a timeless ring of national identity, but what makes the 1979 quarter special is not just its classic design, it's the incredible variations that came out of the minting process that year. The United States Mint struck these coins in 3 main locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each location used slightly different dies, equipment, and mint marks, leading to unique characteristics that make some of these quarters far rarer than others. The Philadelphia Mint quarters of 1979 bear no mint mark, as was the tradition before 1980. Denver quarters carry a small D mint mark, while San Francisco produced coins with an S. But the San Francisco Mint, famous for its proof coins made specifically for collectors, created something extraordinary in 1979, a small number of coins that would later drive collectors into a frenzy. You see, 1979 was a transitional year for proof mint marks. Two distinct types of S mint marks were used, the Type 1 and the Type 2 varieties. The Type 1S looks like a hazy blob, while the Type 2S is sharply defined and clear. Collectors soon discovered that the Type 2 proof coins were much rarer and significantly more valuable. But that's just the beginning of this story. As minting technology evolved, so did the potential for small but significant minting errors, errors that might go unnoticed at first but later command astronomical prices. Some 1979 quarters were struck off-center, giving them a misaligned, almost surreal appearance. Others were double dies, where the inscriptions or images appeared doubled because of a misalignment during the minting process. There are even reports of 1979 quarters struck on planchets meant for other coins, such as dimes or foreign denominations, making them not just rare but one of a kind. These minting anomalies turned ordinary coins into hidden treasures. Imagine this: a simple 1979 quarter, maybe dropped on the sidewalk, maybe sitting in an old coin jar, could be worth thousands, or even millions, if it happens to be one of those rare errors or unique proofs. Coin collectors, or numismatists as they're formally known, spend years hunting for these treasures, studying the tiniest details with magnifying glasses, scales, and microscopes. Every curve of a letter, every edge of a mint mark, every tiny imperfection tells a story. And among those stories, the tale of one particular 1979 quarter stands above the rest. Somewhere in the late 1990s, a coin collector stumbled upon a 1979 Washington quarter that looked different. The coin's surface shimmered unlike any other quarter. Its strike was unusually sharp, its details crisp, and yet, it carried peculiar characteristics that defied normal minting standards. Experts later determined that this coin was struck on a 90% silver planchet, something that shouldn't have happened since the U.S. Mint had stopped producing silver quarters in 1964. How this error occurred remains one of the great mysteries of modern numismatics. Some believe a leftover silver blank from the 1960s was accidentally used. Others think it may have been a deliberate strike, an experiment, or even a test coin that somehow escaped the mint. Whatever the truth, this particular 1979 silver quarter was authenticated, graded, and later auctioned for an amount that shocked the coin world: millions of dollars. Over the years, its estimated value continued to rise, reaching an astonishing $42 million in recent private sales. $42 million, for a quarter that could fit in your pocket. To put that in perspective, that's more than the price of a luxury yacht, more than a mansion in Beverly Hills, and more than the lifetime earnings of most people. It's an unimaginable fortune hidden in plain sight, but what makes such coins worth so much? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, demand, and story. Rarity is obvious: the fewer coins of a kind that exist, the higher their value. Condition is equally crucial: a coin graded MS 67 or proof 70 can be worth exponentially more than one that's circulated. Demand comes from the passionate community of collectors, investors, and historians who are willing to pay a premium for a piece of history. And finally, story. Every great coin carries a tale that captures the imagination. The 1979 quarter has all these elements woven together like a perfect storm. Collectors today search for the 1979 quarter with unmatched enthusiasm. Online forums, coin shows, and auctions are filled with discussions about identifying the valuable varieties. Experts recommend checking the mint mark carefully, examining the strike, and looking for unusual coloration or weight differences that might hint at a rare composition. Some of the most valuable examples are proof strikes with deep mirror-like finishes, or quarters with sharp double-die details. Even minor misprints or planchet errors can make a huge difference in value. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is how it transforms everyday objects into artifacts of immense value and meaning. A simple coin that once bought a piece of gum or a ride on a bus suddenly becomes a link to history, to craftsmanship, and to the human stories behind it. Every coin carries fingerprints of the past, the touch of a mint worker, the press of machinery, the wear of years in circulation. The 1979 quarter reminds us that beauty, value, and mystery often hide in the most ordinary of places. There's also a psychological allure that draws collectors to such coins. It's the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that one day, among all the spare change in your pocket, you might find a piece of history worth a fortune. And indeed, stories have surfaced of lucky individuals who found rare quarters in circulation, tucked away in old jars or inherited from relatives who never knew what they had. Each story fuels the excitement, each discovery proving that treasures still exist out there, waiting to be found. As the years go by, the value of these coins continues to rise. The market for rare coins has grown into a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers regularly host high-stakes bidding wars where coins fetch record-breaking sums. Investors now see rare coins not just as collectibles but as solid assets, historical art forms that retain and increase their worth. And among all these, the legendary 1979 quarter stands as one of the most coveted. So, what should you do if you happen to have a 1979 quarter in your possession? The first step is to examine it closely. Look at the mint mark under magnification. If it's from San Francisco, check whether the S is clear and sharp, a type 2, or blobby, a type 1. Then inspect the coin's edges, surfaces, and weight. If something looks unusual, off-center strikes, double images, or an unusually silver shine, don't ignore it. Have it appraised by a professional numismatist or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Who knows, you might be holding one of the most valuable coins in the world. The story of the 1979 quarter is more than just a tale about money, it's a reminder of how history, art, and luck intertwine in the most unexpected ways. It tells us that even the smallest things can carry immense value when looked at with the right perspective. It's about curiosity, discovery, and the magic that lies in the ordinary. Top 3. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a United States of America quarter dollar from 2022, a coin that, for some lucky collectors, has turned into a $4 million masterpiece. The year was 2022, a time when the U.S. Mint was entering a new era of creativity and commemoration. The world was recovering from challenges, technology was reshaping industries, and even the smallest details of life, like the change in your hand, were being transformed. And right in that moment, something remarkable happened in American numismatics, the birth of the 2022 quarter, part of a bold new series that captured the heart of the nation, the American Women Quarters program. This series wasn't just about coins. It was about rewriting history, literally, in metal. For decades, the U.S. quarter had been known for the dignified face of George Washington on the obverse, with the reverse often changing to celebrate states, national parks, and landmarks. But in 2022, the Mint decided to shine the spotlight on women who shaped America's story, icons who broke barriers, defied expectations, and left legacies that changed the nation forever. Now imagine this, a small, shining 25-cent coin that carries the story of bravery, artistry, and human achievement. The 2022 quarters featured 5 incredible women: Maya Angelou, Dr. Sally Ride, Wilma Mankiller, Nina Otero Warren, and Anna May Wong. Each of these coins told a different tale, each design a masterpiece of symbolism. But among them, a few special quarters, because of minting errors, rare varieties, or pristine conditions, became so valuable that collectors would stop at nothing to find them. Let's start from the beginning. On one side of the 2022 quarter, we see a new portrait of George Washington, but not the one we've grown used to. This time, the design was created by the legendary Laura Garden Fraser, one of the most talented sculptors in American history. Her design was actually made back in 1931, but for nearly a century, it was overlooked. Finally, in 2022, her vision was brought to life, an elegant, bold depiction of Washington facing right, instead of left as in earlier designs. It was a subtle change, but one that symbolized a turning point in both design and gender representation, since Fraser herself had once been denied this honor because she was a woman. And now, decades later, her art became the face of America's most circulated coin. History had come full circle. Flip the coin over, and each version of the 2022 quarter tells a unique story. The Maya Angelou quarter, the first released, celebrates the famous poet, dancer, and civil rights activist, arms lifted high in a gesture of freedom, with a rising sun and bird behind her, inspired by her autobiography I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It's not just a design, it's a tribute to hope, resilience, and the human spirit. Then came Dr. Sally Ride, America's first woman astronaut to travel to space. Her quarter shows her gazing back at Earth from her spacecraft window, a reminder that even the sky is not the limit when you dare to dream. Next was Wilma Mankiller, the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Her coin portrays her strength, heritage, and leadership, standing tall with a resolute expression, wrapped in a traditional shawl. Nina Otero Warren's quarter honors a Latina leader in New Mexico's suffrage movement, known for her bilingual advocacy and cultural pride. Her coin proudly displays her name, and the phrase, Voto para la mujer, Spanish for, vote for women. And finally, Anna May Wong, the first Chinese-American movie star in Hollywood, graces her quarter with a stunning, cinematic pose, her chin resting on her hand, eyes gazing into the future, surrounded by lights like a stage spotlight. A true symbol of perseverance and representation in a time of struggle. Each design wasn't just art, it was a statement. A symbol of inclusion, diversity, and recognition. But here's where things get even more interesting. Among the millions of quarters minted in 2022, a small handful turned out to be extraordinarily rare, due to the high-speed production process at the U.S. Mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. A few quarters came out with minting errors that made them priceless to collectors. These include off-center strikes, double dies, and even missing letters or partial images. To the untrained eye, these might look like small imperfections. But to coin enthusiasts, these flaws are treasures worth a fortune. Imagine this: a regular 2022 quarter in your pocket might buy a piece of gum. But one with a visible double die error on Maya Angelou's wings or a misprint on Anna May Wong's name could be auctioned for thousands, or even millions, depending on its rarity and condition. Collectors and experts often say that the thrill of coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about discovery. The excitement of flipping through your change and realizing that what you hold could be a once-in-a-lifetime find. In 2022, that thrill reached new heights, as stories began spreading across the internet about people finding rare quarters worth more than a luxury car, and in some cases, more than a mansion. Let's take a moment to appreciate what makes these quarters so captivating. First, the artistry. The designs were meticulously crafted, blending symbolism and storytelling. Second, the production scale. Billions were made, yet only a microscopic fraction emerged with those rare traits that define numismatic legends. And third, the emotional connection. These coins represent empowerment, courage, and history, making them more than metal. They're time capsules of progress. Now let's talk about where these valuable versions were found. Some of the most sought-after 2022 quarters came from special proof sets made in San Francisco, crafted with mirror-like precision. Others were uncirculated issues from mint sets, preserved perfectly by collectors. But the real legends, the ones that fetched unimaginable sums, were error coins accidentally released into circulation. One of the most famous discoveries came when a collector found a 2022 Anna May Wong quarter with a dramatic die clash error. It was later verified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and valued at an astonishing $4 million at private auction. Think about that for a moment: a simple coin, worth 25 cents, transforming into a life-changing treasure. The kind of story that makes you want to check every quarter you've ever owned. And yes, there's always the possibility that another one is still out there, waiting to be found. The process of grading plays a crucial role in determining a coin's worth. Professional grading agencies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on their condition, strike quality, luster, and rarity. A coin that's graded MS 70, meaning perfect mint state, can multiply its value by thousands. Combine that with an error, a low mintage, or a historical quirk, and you've got yourself $1 million piece. But why is there such an obsession with the 2022 quarters, especially the Maya Angelou and Anna May Wong designs? Because they mark a turning point in U.S. coinage, the first time the quarter dollar carried the image of women from diverse backgrounds on a national scale. They represent not just collectible value, but cultural significance. These coins became symbols of representation, cherished by historians, collectors, and art lovers alike. Let's also not forget the emotional dimension. Many people who collect coins aren't doing it for profit, they do it for passion, for connection, for storytelling. Each coin is a memory, a fragment of history that fits right in your palm. The 2022 quarters capture that feeling perfectly. They're modern, meaningful, and mysterious all at once. Now, here's something fascinating about how coin values skyrocket. The market for rare coins operates like fine art, driven by rarity, demand, and provenance. When a coin gains attention in the media or is confirmed as a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly, its value can soar overnight. In recent years, collectors from around the world have been competing fiercely to acquire 2022 quarters in perfect condition or with verified errors, pushing prices higher with each auction. Experts often advise collectors to inspect 2022 quarters carefully, especially for doubled images, die cracks, or missing elements. Even small details, like an extra feather or misplaced letter, can turn an ordinary coin into a legendary one. Many numismatists use magnifying glasses or digital microscopes to study these coins closely, hunting for those microscopic differences that make all the difference. So, next time you see a 2022 quarter, don't just glance and spend it. Look closer. Examine the shine, the texture, the design. You might be looking at more than metal, you might be looking at a masterpiece worth millions.